Hey everyone, welcome to this video tutorial. We're going to walk through paper 2, topics in sociology, with a particular focus on section A4, which is work, poverty and welfare. Quick glance at the front page just to familiarise yourself with it. With this paper you will get an additional answer book, not like paper 1 and paper 3 where you answer on the question paper. So just make sure that you get one of those. As always, using the black or black ballpoint pen. And make sure that you answer all the questions from one topic in section A and all the questions from one topic in section B, 1 hour on each, 2 hours in total. It is mentioned about you doing rough work in your answer book. The examiners are pleased when you do plan your answers, because this shows that you are able to organise your information quite clearly. Maximum marks for the paper is 80, 40 in section A, 40 in section B, and make sure that you are using specialist vocabulary, so that is your keywords, your concepts, your theories that show that you've got good sociological knowledge. So using some additional information and guidance. This is found on the AQA website. It is on the examiner report, and that's where I've got it from 2019 paper. So this paper only has 3 styles of questions. You have got 2 10 markers, one without an item and one with, and a 20 mark with an item that you are evaluating. Now, your top tips for your 10 markers: don't need to have an intro or conclusion, don't waste time, you lose marks that way. The word to is put in bold. There is often some confusion where students are writing more than the 2 paragraphs that are required, and it is always useful to start your paragraph with one way is, or the one reason is, and then missing a line and then doing your second paragraph to clearly indicate that you have answered what the question's asked for. Now, with the outline and explain, it's not all about reciting knowledge. You need to bring in aspects of knowledge in a way that you are unlikely to have done so before. It is asking you to apply links across topics. So you can prepare to do this by making cross-topic links as you go along. The analyse question, the other 10 marker, where you're asked to apply from the item, make sure you clearly indicate that you have used it, e.g. quote the item. And your best answers are focused, they clearly state a point, they develop it, and they use your concepts, studies and evidence and theory where appropriate. Now, on your 20 marker, timing does seem to be an issue, especially in the second 20 marker from section B. There was small evidence of planning. The questions are designed to be quite broad, so you need to carefully choose the content and plan your answers. Better answers refer to both empirical research, for example your studies, and your theoretical perspectives. And the item is always a useful starting point, but you also must refer to a wider range of knowledge and ideas. So looking at section A4, work, poverty and welfare, you will see that there are the 3 questions as I've just aforementioned. Your 10 marker, outline and explain, designed to make the links across topics, 10 marker with an item, and also a 20 marker. You are spending an hour on this section. So let's focus in on that first question. So this one is asking you to outline and explain 2 ways. So these ways have got to make sure that you are showing application between the idea of worklessness that is caused by structural inequalities, and you need to make sure you reference the different social classes. There was a tendency to interpret worklessness as long-term unemployment, and this often includes or excludes part-time work, people that might be unemployed for a smaller period of time due to seasonal work or temporary or short-term contracts. Then you had to look at how it is caused by structural inequalities. And again, some students did discuss cultural reasons rather than the structural inequality, such as welfare dependency or culture of poverty. It's looking for the structural inequalities, and that's where you could have drawn in the ideas from Marxist theory and the impact of capitalism, or even from the Weberian explanations and the market situation. An analysis would have been gauged by comparing the different classes, because worklessness could have had a positive compared to a negative impact depending on what class that you were from. So 10 marks available, 15 minutes to write it. So your second 10 marker, question 11, is also based on application, but this time you are applying knowledge from the item and showing that you can apply it to the question as well. It's asking you for 2 possible effects of the social democratic approach to welfare provision, and you are looking for information from the item to help you answer that question. Now, students were still unsure of the term the social democratic approach, and this is the 1940s, or developed in the 1940s, based on the idea of universal welfare for all at times of need, and it covers from cradle to grave. Some students were a bit confused by that. But students were still able to develop answers from the item, often referring to the welfare state is too generous, and that meant that they were able to refer to the new right, talking about the culture of dependency and perverse incentives and such things like that. And also this idea about all citizens receive benefits from the state, to discuss how this might have the effect on reducing the stigma of receiving welfare. Analysis marks could be available as well from the third way, that the state does have a responsibility, but also the individual does have to bear some responsibility as well, in order to help themselves. 10 marks, 15 minutes to answer. Okay. At your final question, it's a 20 marker. You should spend 30 minutes answering it, and just make sure that you are planning your answers. Now, a lot of students did answer this pretty well. They were able to give a range of sociological explanations, starting off from the item and drawing on ideas from the Marxist viewpoint, and also from the postmodern viewpoint as well. They also talked about things like Taylorism and Fordism and McDonaldization, this idea of the production line, very low skill, very predictable, and the impact of technology and how it has de-skilled the working population. You could then analyse it by linking the ideas together and showing the impact on alienation and developing that point there. Postmodern ideas, so you could talk about Foucault, the impact of surveillance and using technology to control the workforce, which would lead quite nicely onto the human relations approach, especially Elton Mayo's research that technology can be used to impact the productivity of workers and so on. Okay, so overall you should be spending on this answer 30 minutes and making sure that you are planning your answers before you start it. Okay, massive thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, you know where to pop them in the comments. I have linked the examiner report, mark scheme and question paper below, so you can have a go at these questions, and I shall see you soon. Bye bye.